Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here. January 17th is a special day. January 17th, a shout out to our grandson, Jackson. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Jackson. Also, our son, Nick. This is his birthday. And most of you know that Nick passed away a little over 10 years ago from cancer. So it's a special day, and we're doing a special thing today, or tonight. And can you see this? This is the Pittsburgh Penguins hockey team, Nick's favorite team. His favorite player, Sidney Crosby. Sidney Crosby even signed a jersey for him, and he wore it proudly. We now have it framed. But he got to watch him a couple times in person. Can I tell you about one time? Great lesson here, just a great lesson. Good friend of ours, Matt Rosenberg, and he reached out to us and said, hey, the Pittsburgh Penguins are playing the Philadelphia Flyers. How'd you like to come and be my guest and sit in VIP seats? I know the executive there, and he can get you some really good seats. So he arranged it for us to be able to, while we were in Philly with our good friend Michael Rouse and his family, Matt got us some good seats there. So we went, and we were excited. Nick had to tone down his passion for the Penguins because they're in enemy territory with the Flyers. But the Penguins won. Nick was happy. The executive comes up and said, hey, sure glad to have you here. How'd you like to go down into the Flyer locker room and meet some of the players? He said, who's your favorite player on the Flyers? And so Nick thought for a second, and he said, well, Mike Williams, who was the captain. And he said, I'll get him for you. So off he goes. In the meantime, Nick's talking to me, and he says, there's only one player on the Flyers I do not want to meet. I said, who's that? He said, Chris Pronger. I said, why, Nick? Why? He said, because he's mean. He's not a nice guy. He said, I remember him when he played for the Ducks and he stomped on people's heads, and he's just a mean guy. I said, okay. So anyway, the executive comes back and he said, I'm sorry, Mike Williams had already left. The Giants were playing in the playoffs right next door here, and he had tickets and he headed over there. But I have a certain Hall of Famer, the perfect person that you'd like to meet, and that's Chris Pronger. And Nick put a smile on his face and said, okay, good. So we went down in the locker room and we waited for a while, and then pretty soon we could see the reporters gathering because here came Chris Pronger. And he's 6'6", so he sits above everybody else, and he's thin. He weighs 220 pounds at the time. And so it's thin for a 6'6" guy. He's a big, tall guy, and he comes in and he says, get out of my way, guys. Get out of my way, guys. I'm looking for somebody else. Nick, is that you over there? And he walks over to Nick, and he comes over and he puts his hand on his shoulder, and he looks him right in the eyes, and he goes, I hear you're going through some tough times. Would you tell me about them? And then he listened. And Nick shared the stories. And there was a connection that happened. There was a connection that happened in that moment. Because Chris Pronger was interested in Nick. They had some good words back and forth, and he says, I got to go talk to the Vultures. Good luck, Nick. And he walked over, and you could see him talking to the Vultures in some foul language, and he was rude to them, and he was his typical place. And he started to walk out the door, and he stopped, head above everybody else. He says, stop. Hey, Nick, I got your back, buddy. I got your back. Perhaps it's only appropriate that we think of this day also. A quote from Martin Luther King that said, dark cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And how much light does it take to eliminate the darkness? Just a spark. They say don't judge a book by its cover. Well, Chris Pronger was that spark that day that got rid of the darkness, that brought in the light, and we're forever grateful. Don't misjudge. You never know. You never know. Be the spark. Have a wonderful week. I look forward to talking to you next week. Make life meaningful. Onward, upward, and outward.